15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Wait a minute. I've heard that before. That's the note Jeremy wrote to me in my yearbook in the 6th grade. How'd you even know that?
Because it's from Geico.
Yeah, wait, here it is. Dear Luke, have a great summer. P.S. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. Love, Jeremy.
Geico's had this tagline for years, because we help save people money.
So wait, you're saying Jeremy copied you? Yeah, that actually does sound like something the J-Man would do.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Sling is the best of live TV for the best price, with channels like ESPN, TBS, TNT, CNN, HGTV, and more. Watch your favorite comedies, action, drama and adventures, suspense and thrillers, documentaries, I love those, news and sports for $35 a month. That's it. Sign up in 5 minutes and start streaming right away on your TV, your phone, and your tablet. Take control of your TV solution with Sling, the TV you love for a price you'll love. Try it free today. Go to sling.com. Restrictions apply.
Hey everybody, welcome to Public Access America's Just the Tip.
I would say, much along Karen's idea, stay hungry for growth, because the thing about growth is that we to this place where we're complacent and we're happy, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you always have the opportunity to learn something new, to pick up, maybe a new hobby, a new skill, or maybe just find out something really cool that you didn't know about, and you'll feel your life more enriched because you're just like, I didn't know something about this, and I went down this rabbit hole, and now I know something about this. I'm not an expert, but I feel awesome having learned something about something I didn't know.
Yeah, thanks. You made me learn about Rome last week. That was god-awful.
It is time now for something positive.
We might be headed to the promised land,
of speaking the truth
and finding our external liberty once we internally liberate ourselves.
Problem can only be solved when there is a kind of coalition of conscience.
Because that is how it works. This is the beginning, it is not the finale, and that's why we're here, and that's why we rally.
We've got to be that creative minority.
Find a way to get in the way. I got in trouble. It was good trouble. It was necessary trouble.
Frankly, I know we've got to do something.
For me, technology changes every other day. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not working because you didn't update it. You got to update it. You updated it. Now it works for a couple days, but shit. Now it's back to updating.
Well, and right now everything's constantly updating because everything is under freaking cyber attack right now, so.
Oh shit, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I mean, everything's just constantly getting updated. Everybody's on edge trying to stay ahead of whatever nonsense is coming around the corner, so.
That's smart. I changed half of my passwords yesterday. I'm going to change the other half today. What I do is I use one of those apps that makes a random generator.
Yeah.
But then I don't save it in the app. I move it to a secure location and then store it so I have them, But I try not to use anything that would be from my brain because Facebook has so much information about me. If they wanted to guess my password, they know my dog's first name, my first cat's first name. You know what I mean?
So this is where two-factor or multi-factor authentication come in,
Does it? Yeah.
Yeah. So like the reality is that with some of the supercomputers that are out there, you can brute force a password without much difficulty. Most websites are requiring at least a minimum of 8, characters. Some have moved up to 12. But the reality is that, a lot of those can be brute forced given enough time and resources. And really the issue there is whether or not you're a high value target versus just some random peon and they happen to get your password from a hash.
Well,
But
fuck you, Russia, if that one helps us at all.
so realistically, what you have to do is you have to turn on two-factor, multi-factor authentication. So that's where, like, for example, you know, you go to log into a site and it inputs your password, and then it's like, hey, use your biometrics, or hey, we're going to send your phone a code, or hey, you need to, log into your email address and click on this, authentication link,
Sure.
and those are ways in which you can, keep your data more secure, and it's definitely worthwhile.
The iPad has the thumbprint.
Yep.
So a lot of it is that, but then it saves it into my browser, and I'm not quite sure I like that either. So I don't know. There's a lot of, and I wanted to ask, I don't know. There is so much in this note, Jeffrey, and it's amazing to me that I don't know if we'll ever touch on any of it. You know what I mean? And I don't know which one story we'll touch on, or if we ever get to any of it. And I could care less because nobody knows ahead of time what's in my note. But I did want to ask, because a lot of the cybersecurity that's being offered to us to protect us is made by contractors in countries that have an interest in backdooring some of this security stuff. So I don't even know which security systems to go for to protect myself, And so at some point we're going to have to get more involved in things, and like what a VPN is and how to protect ourselves, and is LifeLock valuable, things like that can make a difference, because you can spend $9 a month on LifeLock and get nothing, or you can use NordVPN that comes free, maybe, you know what I mean? So I don't know any.
There's a few ways that you could do it, and I, maybe this will just be kind of just the tip, if you will.
Ooh,
so
just the tip.
There's a lot of places out there that offer, all these different privacy suites and ID monitoring, and that's fine and all. There's sites like Credit Karma that are great for showing you when new accounts are open, but you can go into, the big three credit agencies, and you can actually lock your credit, so that way nobody can open anything in your name. Now, now I have not done this, and so it's hard for me to say what that process looks like. But if, for example, you don't have any plans on opening a new credit card, buying anything new, this is one way that at least, you wouldn't have somebody gaining access to your credit. But your credit cards and debit cards are a whole different matter compared to this. So it's somebody couldn't take out a loan in your name or a new credit card in your name, for example.
Okay, but they could open a bank account and get a no. Okay.
No. The only thing that they would be able to do is, like, if your credit card or debit card got hacked, they'd be able to use it.
Okay, and some bank apps actually have a button to where you can lock your card if you lose it. So there's a lot of protocols out there, Kathy. Remember that. We know them.
Yep. So that's one way, and then realistically, like, VPNs are interesting tools to be able to, quote unquote, protect data, but the reality is that there's a lot of them that are already hacked, and being monitored actively as it is.
Right.
Like, if you want to get around traffic, like, there's ways to do it, but some of these, they offer I would say very basic VPN services. And that's perfectly fine, especially if you're doing very basic things, like, let's say you're trying to get, a show on Netflix that's not on your region, but let's say it's in Japan or something like that. You'd be able to do that. So that's VPNs have their uses in that realm, but in terms of securing your data, they help. Yeah, they can help, but it all depends on, which one you use.
And who wants to get in there bad enough.
Exactly. And that's the thing is like, I guarantee you the idea that any of these, major VPN corporations aren't hacked is, I would highly doubt that, any of the other major ones aren't already cracked.
Right. I mean, they're not U.S. contractors only. That's what, bugs me. I mean, that's where my question is. I don't know whether that should bug me. Like, we're speaking Greek right now. I have no idea what we're talking about.
Realistically, what it boils down to is that there are more secure protocols being developed for the web to help, naturally, I wouldn't say natural. What I mean, it's the best way to describe it for the layperson, to help naturally encrypt your information so it's better protected.
Two-factor, like the two-factor stuff.
No, more like you have to think about it more like, for example, if you ever
I know what you like, WhatsApp, right?
Yeah, kind of like that.
Right.
So there's ways that they're trying to do that. Also, WhatsApp's cracked, so don't bother.
Telegram? It's run by Russia.
Telegram also hacked.
Right. Discord? I don't know.
But that's the thing is like, if you're looking to share certain information online, they're developing the means in which you can do it anonymously is very expensive and very difficult, and like anything else, there's no guarantee. And especially, for example, when your traffic is, if you get, let's say that you get some type of an encryption service, and you still do the exact same things, that data pattern still exists. Sure, it might be
right.
Obfuscated a little bit, but if it's still the same pattern, it's still the same pattern, and they can trace it back to who the person is. So,
okay.
So I mean, realistically, like, have strong passwords, enable two-factor, multi-factor authentication, and, don't go visiting any sketchy porn sites.
Yeah, sketchy porn does it every time, yeah.
Or,
sure.
Or my personal favorite is, everybody's trying to, find that movie that's out that they want to, see but not go to the theater. Some of those sites are, oh my God, some of those sites are just so bad.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. If you're gonna put it on the internet, it's gonna be on the internet. That's all I can say about it.
That's pretty much it.
I want to say hi and thank you to Karen from EarKick that was on our conversation last week. That was amazing. We've been promoting that since Thursday, and I will tell you they are super responsive on Instagram, on TikTok, on Twitter. They're everywhere thanking us for everything, and I just think it's so really cool, to be connected with them in some way. Hopefully we get her back in a month to let everybody know. We told people on Twitter to go ahead and get the app, use the app, and then join us next month so we could actually have a question answer sort of discussion thing. And we also connected with, she talked about a disabled man, Vortle Games, Vortle Games, and we connected with him on Twitter. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm glad we could help them. They keep saying we're on the same mission of helping people get information that eases their brains and then monitoring it. And I like the whole idea of they're not taking my data and selling it like Facebook. That's where they had me,
Yeah.
So.
And that's, and especially like right now, like data sales is really where most people make their money. And that's
right.
So it'll be really interesting to see how, I'm interested to see how it develops. I think it's a fantastic app. So.
Me too. Hey, you know what today is? Today is Muslim Women's Day. March 27th. So it's rare we actually get a day to do a shout out for Muslim women. So thank you, Muslim women. My favorite is Ilhan Omar. If you have your own, go ahead and tweet them or message them and let them know they're not alone. They have support.
Yeah.
Yep. Basic, pretty basic. Have you heard of radical monogamy?
Oh, God. I'm going to say this out loud, and Debbie is going to come storming across the room.
I do throw those little fish hooks out there in case she's in the room, just so they might be like, hey, I want to get in on this.
Have you heard of the term, and I quote, radical monogamy? Well, they just said, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Apparently, it's making the decision after exploring all of your choices. If you land on monogamy after considering all other options, it's radical.
Oh my God. Debbie's about to tear somebody a new one.
No. Oh, I'm sorry, Devi. We can thank Dan Savage from the Savage Lovecast for this one. As I was doing my note and listening to him, that was the opening statement. I thought it was just a fantastic thing, you know?
Well, I don't know who came up with it, but I saw it making the rounds this week where they're talking about radical monogamy. And like you said,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
idea that you've tried everything else and monogamy is the only thing that works for you. And I'm like, how the fuck is that radical?
Right. It fits into the bag of absolutes for me. Like, I never will know. So how do you know?
Radical monogamy falls under the same line as people who call themselves Sigma males because apparently alpha wasn't enough. And also people who call themselves pure strain humans because they didn't get the vaccine. That's how fucking stupid this is.
Wow. I thought it was just another gimmick to sell t-shirts.
We have a term for radical monogamy. It's called monogamy.
Right, but it's it's base. What they're saying is it's a base setting. Like nobody ever customized it. We assume that we have to be in a straight monogamous relationship, and then we need to explore that further. It's like we've already been told, what we should do. It's a preconceived notion that we should be monogamous. I don't like the term. I agree with you. Monogamy is monogamy. We make that choice every day. Every time we wake up, we decide whether we want to continue to be in the relationship we're in or if we want to change the parameters of that. You know what I mean?
Like there's monogamy and then there's, ethical non-monogamy and then there's of course unethical non-monogamy, but
right.
But radical monogamy. I mean, you're so committed it's radical. What the fuck?
It's radical because now monogamy isn't just
oh god, the straights have gone radical.
Right, but no, this isn't straight people, this is gay people creating radical monogamy.
I don't
and it's also the gay people creating radical minority terms. This guy actually, he said he coined the phrase, and he picks on people that haven't chosen this path. So it's the exact same thing as every other monogamy. It's somebody judging you for the way you live your life. And it doesn't matter what you call yourself because you are a version of it. If you're monogamous, you're your version of monogamy. If you're in a same-sex couple, that's your version of it. Polyamory, it's your version of it. It's not, you don't have to be polyamorous defined by the dictionary as polyamorous to live your life. You know what I mean?
It's that's the thing is like,
this is the shortest line in my note, by the way.
This is the most just one.
This is the one sentence.
Yeah, apparently you've inflicted pain. You've chosen the path of pain.
Wow.
I'm going to be surprised if Devi's not over there just like trying to find anything and everything on it, so that way somebody can get destroyed later.
Yeah, then we'll do a whole second hour on it. You know what I mean? So Republicans are going after.
Wait, what?
What? Say what?
What did you say?
You're listening to Public Access America.
Apparently, there's an article on it's the practical view of the 5 types of monogamy.
Wow, now there's 5 types. I love this.
Oh God.
But that's my point. There's actually 350 billion versions of relationship out there. You know what I mean?
Oh my God. I think I might have had a stroke, Jason. I think this is it. This is my death note.
Uh-oh.
This is where it ends. Oh, somebody did something really dumb.
Yeah.
And it hurts.
Sorry. I brought it up. I'm sorry.
Like, here's the thing.
Did we move on to another topic?
No, we've got to hammer on this dumb shit because this is amazing.
I like it.
So I'll say my piece on it.
Sure.
And I will, let smarter people than I decide whether or not they want to talk about it another time or not. Or, maybe there will just be like, some type of explosion of thoughts on how stupid something is.
Uh-huh.
But the reality is that, like so like for example, one of them was like financial monogamy, and I'm going, what? Apparently it's where you share your bank accounts. So what? You share your bank accounts and nothing else? You know what we have? We have a term for that. Non-monogamous. or you share your love for each other, but you know what? Nothing else. We have a term for that. Non-monogamous. Basic. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Oh, you've got Debbie riled up.
Oh,
Debbie's been up for an hour, and you've managed to piss him off.
That wasn't the plan. I'll go with it. I'll go with it. Hey, we're here for the next 2 hours. If you want to get in on this, Debbie, I will send you a link. We always respect Debbie, you know what I mean? But I also know that you're 2 hours behind me, so it's actually 9 a.m. You know what I mean?
Oh my God, Debbie's literally over there just laughing and choking on their own coffee and spit, because this has literally caused us all to just start drooling. This has literally lowered our IQ points to I don't know, like, who thought somebody needs to tell the media to stop. Just because you see something, that doesn't mean you need to write an article on it.
Right, okay.
Insane.
So fuck you, Dan Savage.
Wait, please confirm, did Dan Savage come up with this?
No, Dan Savage did not come up with this.
Dan Savage did not come up with this. Apparently he just talked about it on his show.
Yeah, it was his opening statement on his last episode. And I just
it's a Vice article. Oh God.
I put it in my note as a question so that I could look into it further, and I just moved on to other things because it was that stupid to me.
Yeah, I saw this. So there's a person I follow called PolyAmFam, and apparently like he did a skit on Radicle monogamy, and I saw that there was the Vice article on it in his post, and I was just like, oh, this is dumb. This can't be a thing. Oh God, I'm wrong.
It's yeah.
So look, find the relationship dynamic that works for you, and stop calling it weird fucking things. Like this is. Monogamy without the misogyny. Yeah, so monogamy without the misogyny. What the fuck? Okay, sure. You know what? We're just gonna call this really fucking dumb, and we're gonna move on, because this is actually insane. Somebody felt really fucking left out, and they came up with something that they could sell to Vice and be like, no, I'm not super straight, I'm radically monogamous. Like it's going to be any fucking different. It's still insane. It's like the concept of, people who call themselves super straight because apparently straight wasn't straight enough. I'm like, what?
Well, how about this? I sent Debbie a link, and if they want to come and check in, then they can, and we can continue this discussion.
Yeah,
I would love to continue this discussion, because to me this was a marketing throwaway, media thing. Like we're low on news, so let's come up with another term.
Which I'm surprised that's the they decided to pick up on that. Yeah, we'll let Debbie.
Yeah.
We'll let Debbie read, and if Debbie decides they want to chime in and
sure. I thought this was a commercial sort of gimmick. I didn't think this was something serious, but if it's giving you a stroke, then I really do want to cover it in more of a meaningful way than a one sentence in my note.
I don't know that there is.
But I also don't want to. I don't want to give this stupid stuff attention. You know what I mean?
I don't think there is a meaningful way to cover this other than somebody had an idea and they really needed to stop and don't. Yeah. Okay. So that's
cool.
Yeah, please, something else. I think I'm.
Oh, okay.
Does anybody else smell burnt toast? Hey, it smells like burnt toast in here.
So Jeffrey, are you looking for a way to kill yourself?
Dude, I've been dead twice. I have literally been flatlined twice, and I'm still alive. So at this point, I'm just living in spite of everything. So the answer is no. I have plenty of creative ways to off myself. Personally, I'm just gonna hold out for nuclear apocalypse, so that way I can just grab myself a folding chair and a cooler with a beer in it, and bratwurst and a stick, and I'm literally just gonna find myself an open field, and I'm just gonna look for the direction that the nuke falls. I'm just gonna get fucking naked, and I'm just gonna lean back with a beer in my hand and a fucking bratwurst on a stick and point it towards the fucking mushroom cloud and be like, yeah, fuck it, chaos.
Man, I just hope I have enough time and money to get to Seattle before all that. Are you talking about feeling hopeless?
Wait, you mean there was hope out there?
Are you feeling trapped?
Well, if we're talking about the band Trapped, no, I don't feel that.
Are you a burden to others?
Yeah, usually.
Yeah. Are you increasing your drug and alcohol use?
Maybe.
Are you acting a lot more anxious and agitated? Are you sleeping too little or too much?
I never sleep enough, and in fact, the fucking dog kept waking me up every 30 minutes last night. Fucking dog. Like, literally, I literally would get her, like, I got her out of bed to see if she'd actually lay down and just, like, calm down. She would get up, fucking run around the room, and then I'd put her back in the cage, and she'd start fucking pawing at the cage and groaning every 30 minutes. So I'm like, finally at one point, I'm like, I can't, maybe I should just take her out. Maybe she's got to go to the bathroom. No, that wasn't it.
No.
So, fuck. Oh.
Dogs are a responsibility that take away the joy of life. Do you find yourself withdrawing or isolating more?
I wouldn't say that. I would say that, COVID kind of isolated a lot of people, and now I'm pretty much ready to just get the fuck out.
Are you showing signs of rage or talking about acts of revenge?
Rage, yes. Revenge? I don't know who's on my shit list anymore.
It was on a floppy disk.
Yeah, it was on an old thumb drive that was, had 512 kilobytes of space that totally got nuked when I needed to turn in a final and lost it completely.
Gotcha.
Back in 2005.
Well, if you're feeling a majority of those things, you could be somebody that's showing signs of wanting to commit suicide, and you should seek help or a friend. Anyway, I did want to circle back to that. You did say that 2 weeks ago, and I did not want to go past it, but we had a jam-packed show last week. You know what I mean?
We really did.
Jeffrey did say he died twice, and while I didn't want to get the whole thing, I did want to get one of them and ask what the fuck.
It's one of those things where everybody has like these cool stories about how they fucking we're dead. And
are they cool? Are they cool, Jeffrey?
Mine aren't. In fact, it's not fun. I will say that it gave me a different appreciation on life, but I'm fine. I'm here.
Right.
Now I will say this. I will preface this. As somebody who, has severe clinical depression, I have tried to take my own life several times and failed every single time.
So you're like the Hulk.
No, more like I chickened out or I didn't take enough to succeed. So it didn't work out, but I definitely, it definitely wasn't great for me. And until I got on a better medication, like once I got on a better medication, the suicidal ideation went away. But of course, the medicine that I was on gave me other problems for 10 years. But
right.
That's so to preface that, I in all of my attempts, I was never close. Unfortunately, I just did a number on myself.
Oh.
But I would say that, as a proxy, I did a lot of really dumb shit as well that, had a pretty decent chance of me winding up dead. And my basic theory on it was, fuck it, if it kills me, I don't give a shit anymore.
Right.
Not a great idea. But by the time
That's my 10 to age 10 to age 30.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. So I'm with you there.
So by the time I get on good medication, that ideation goes away. And now I'm starting to try and figure out, what does life look like on medication? How do I feel about everything moving forward?
Right, you're finally seeing normal for what it is, right?
Well, what I thought was normal. And
right.
And unfortunately that medication just didn't quite work out. The one I'm on now is great.
Okay.
But that one not so great. So I'm on medication. At this point, the medication is working great, or so I think. And I had two instances relatively close together. The first one was a motorcycle accident, which was not fun because I was out riding with some friends and I got smoked with a dirt bike, and I coded in the ambulance, and that was it. The second time, so that first time, it's like I remember standing up saying, I'm okay, and then the next thing I remember is waking up in the hospital.
That's got to be weird.
Not great, not a great feeling. But I will say that, like, during that time, like, I found myself, like, the only way that I know how to describe it is if you've ever had a bed with flannel sheets.
Bundling car and renter's insurance with Geico is so easy, your neighbors are probably already doing it. So why not ask? Just say,
hey, did you get your hair cut? It looks cool. Also, have you saved even more by bundling with Geico?
Or maybe,
hey, did you get your hair cut? It looks weird. Not weird, cool. Anyway, have you bundled with Geico?
Or try,
hey, did you get your hair cut? It doesn't look weird at all. Anywho, have you saved by bundling with, hey, easy with that rake?
Bundling is easy with Geico. Just ask your neighbors.
At Wendy's, March is madness. With our breakfast Baconator. Sausage, egg, and Swiss croissant. Both made with fresh cracked eggs. Or even a honey butter chicken biscuit. And we're just getting warmed up. Get 50% off the official breakfast of March Madness when you order through the Wendy's app. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's.
For a limited time at participating Wendy's via app offer only. Account registration required. No discount applies to taxes or fees. Not valid with any other offer.
It was completely dark. No, really nice and soft. Good flannel.
Ah,
good flannel.
Okay.
It was warm. It was soft. It was dark. It was kind of like, it was just like being in a dark room, like no lights, no nothing, and it just felt really peaceful. But when I woke up, and it was not peaceful. It hurt. It hurt a lot.
So you knew the difference. You could tell the difference between not being there and being there. You know what I mean? Interesting.
The second
this
time,
isn't a great segment to have right after, suicide conversation.
Well,
if you do die, it's okay. It's very peaceful, very comforting.
There's a lot more that I can say, and that I will say after this.
Right.
The second time, so I had to go in for a routine surgery, and I started waking up from it early. And so they ended up having to give me more medication to keep me under. That's just naturally the way that I am. Everybody gets a normal dose. Mine is always higher. I have always had a higher tolerance to medication. And if I don't have a higher tolerance, I develop a higher tolerance really quickly. That's just always the way it's been for me. Most people, they can take 2 ibuprofen and they're like, yes, I feel relief. I have to take 5 at a minimum to even feel anything. Tylenol, pointless. Naproxen doesn't do anything. Aspirin actually gives me tinnitus and causes me to go deaf.
Wow.
So
I have tinnitus.
So pretty much the only options that I had beyond that was opioids, which problem is I know I like the opioids. I don't want them because I like them. So
they don't work for me. Opioids don't work for me.
Well, they work when you get the good shit.
Yes, Dilaudid, right?
Yeah. The
Whatever
problem is that you get hooked on that shit. And that's, And that's why I don't want it, is because I know who I am, and I'll be a fucking junkie all day long if I get my hands on that shit.
Oh yeah, but when they have a scalpel to your testicle, you want Dilaudid. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I mean, you put me under.
Right.
But
I was
anyways,
laughing the whole time.
so I went in for a follow-up routine surgery. And in their notes, they remembered that, I needed a little extra because the fact that I woke up way too early.
Yeah.
So they calculated a little extra, and then they calculated a little extra on top of the little extra, and it stopped my heart.
They don't really know much about anesthesia, right?
It's a very interesting science. For example,
Yeah.
you've got some people who, it doesn't work on them at all. You've got some people where it literally turns their body into a fucking oven.
Right. But
Yeah.
that's one of the jobs where experience pays off. You don't want a newbie because it is all about experience. It's not like they have a formula or they know exactly what it
Right.
does to the body. It's still
And everybody's body
relatively-
is different, so everybody's body
Right.
handles it differently. And so for me, what
Yeah.
ended up happening was I ended up coding on the table, and so they had to counteract and bring me back.
Mm.
And when I woke up, I because when I died, I went back to that same place. It was warm, it was dark, it was peaceful,
Mm.
it was really nice and comfortable. But then I came back to the sound of screeching monitors and bright lights, and it felt like I just got hit in the head. And I've got one doctor who's screaming, "Come back to us," and a nurse crying in the corner.
Wow.
And it's not exactly the way that you want to wake up.
But also, thank God that nurse and that doctor cared. You know what I mean?
So not a great, in both times I basically had to get jump started. It's not fun. It's very painful.
Oh.
So
Not like they make it look in Doctor Strange.
No,
Zap me again. Turn it up.
No,
Yep.
it's fucking awful. It hurts so much. So after that, I really did get a whole new lease on life. And, there were a lot of things that I decided that I needed to do that I hadn't done. And that's, I decided to start chasing them after that. So that's when I got more serious about wanting to start bands and play music, figuring out what I wanted to do for school, trying to figure out, other personal aspects of my life. And and after that, it's like, the idea of killing myself went away because I realized that there were so many cool things that I wanted to do that were never guarantees, but I wanted to go for them. And
Exactly.
I was not ready to call it a life, not having gone for those things.
Okay.
So
good.
So in the end, am I afraid of the next time? No. Do I want it to be anytime soon? Also no.
I hope not.
But
I'm glad you're here, Jeffrey. And I'm glad podcasting was one of those things you wanted to do.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like there are so many great reasons to stay alive. If if you can. Like I say that because I have lost people that I love, and
me too.
And the reality is that when somebody doesn't want help, there's nothing you can do to stop it, and it's hard. It hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts a lot, and especially when you have people like that who've been around you, for years, been close to you for years, and suddenly that's just a void there. It's. And there was also that realization for me too after I had gotten better and that had happened and I lost a really close friend. I knew what I was feeling and how badly it hurt, and so I could only imagine what family members were feeling in that moment. And it's one of those things like you can always find your reason to keep going. The question is do you have the fight left in you, and are you willing to accept a hand to help get you up? Now I will say I want to make a very strategic difference here between suicidal ideation and people who are terminal that refuse to suffer for what is left of their life,
as well as the disabled people that don't want to be killed. I just found that out. There's an opposition to euthanasia because it's used. Dude, they sterilize fucking disabled people in surgeries without their knowledge or consent. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's a lot of versions of wanting to die, not wanting to die.
Mm-hmm.
It's an individual choice, but I get where you're coming from. But I do have a question when you finish up with that.
Yeah. So for me, like, I found that there were a number of things that I absolutely wanted to go for after having tried and failed, after having external factors try and fail. It's like, well, these things couldn't kill me and I couldn't kill me, so fuck it, we're going to go for it. You know what?
As well as that stuff doesn't fulfill you.
Right.
External things don't fulfill an emptiness in you.
Right.
A chemical imbalance, a chemical. Right. Yeah.
And I made it a goal to try and figure out for myself what was wrong with me. You know, was there something wrong with me? And turns out I burn serotonin like it's fucking rocket fuel.
Oh.
So,
okay.
You know, where most people get, like, you know, they can get enough serotonin from you know, vitamin D sources and the sun. I can't. No matter what happens, I burn it like it's rocket fuel. And then I crash. Okay. And so medication I take stops the reuptake of it. So I absolutely have enough to go around.
You know, a lot of my friends have the story, have a story of that, of a suicide attempts, you know, and I'm so grateful to have y'all in my life, to be able to reach out to the people that I know could have gone, and the people that I'm part of their new life. Mm-hmm. Like, they're done giving up, they're gonna try, and then I get to be their friend. I'm really grateful to all of you. But one little trivial thing. Suicide really hurts. Death really hurts the people around that. Mm-hmm. You know, my first wife died 8 times, flatlined 8 times. My second wife died twice. So I've been around that. Those weren't well, I don't think that drug overdoses, you know, it's convoluted. But what I want to ask you is, because when I started researching this and I couldn't come up with an answer, is there a way to communicate to those that you love, even some of just a couple of the closest, that this is something you're going to do and you don't want to leave them in that spot? Like, I think people that are thinking about suicide quietly, almost passive aggressively, kind of leak it out and leave people clues, so that when suicide does happen, their loved ones are left backfilling the reason. Is there, like, if you want to have euthanasia and you go to Sweden, your family has to know about it. Like, they, you know what I mean, for legally. So is there a way? But I understand that's so tricky, and I couldn't come up with an answer for it, and I couldn't find anything on Google. How do you tell your loved ones you want to commit suicide without having them stop you? You know?
This is wishful.
And again,
thinking.
I'm not suicidal.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No, I know what you're saying.
I have been, but I've never gotten to that point.
I know what you're. So this is where it's tough, because you're relying on somebody who is retreated into themselves so much.
Right.
You know, the thing that people don't think about when it comes to people who are wanting, you know, who are suicidal is that they're not thinking of, you know, they're not wanting to broadcast what they're doing. In fact, they've gotten very good at hiding it.
Exactly.
And so the idea of even mentioning it is very difficult. It's very painful. Mm-hmm. And so oftentimes it's not even that you are able to say the words, I'm thinking about killing myself. Sometimes the best you're going to be able to muster is, I need someone to hang out with me.
Right.
Not, you know, would you like to hang out? I need somebody there.
Or am I weird? It's these little questions. That's what I'm saying. They leave a trail of, oh my God, they were considering it. And it's almost like, okay, you're my loved one. Jeffrey, you're my loved one. I want to tell you I want to commit suicide. I'm done. I've thought of everything I can think of, but I'm coming to you to give you the chance to offer me some suggestions of help before we ultimately agree that it's the thing to do for me. That's what I want to know, if there's some way to do that, like a backwards intervention, but you're saying that people deep in thought wouldn't consider it because they've already silently asked. Right? They've already said, "Are you my friend?" And you rejected me. You didn't respond to my text, so now you hate me.
It's not even necessarily about that.
It's like stages of giving up.
It really is
suicide. It's like a slide down, right?
No, you give up on showing negative emotions because it's attention you don't want. You give up on hanging out around friends because you can't get rid of the negative emotions, so you don't want people around you to see these negative emotions that you don't want to talk about.
But then you end up reinforcing it. You see it everywhere.
And then you start, that isolation starts creating all of these different issues that you have to fight off alone. And as someone who's done all of that, it's
sad.
It's hard, and
to think of a friend going through that alone is really hard.
And even if somebody is able to communicate it, and this is something that I said earlier,
I would really hope they could just spit the sentence out to one person. You know what I mean?
But here's the reality that is really hard to swallow for the other party. If this person doesn't want the therapy, doesn't want the doctors, doesn't want the medication, doesn't want any type of intervention, be it friends, of relatives, religion, whatever, when a person has gotten to that point where they're rejecting every form of possible help,
sure,
the only thing that you can do is show that you're there for them, but you also have to protect your own mental health in this case too, and that's where it gets really tough, because you don't want to withdraw from some of these people. You don't want them to decide that no, this is I was right, nobody's going to be here for me.
You don't want to become their only reason to live either.
And
trust me on that one.
And that's where it gets tough, is that we all we want to help as much as we can, as much as possible, and when you have someone who rejects every form of help, you just have to hope that there somewhere is enough willpower in them to start to fight it on their own. And sometimes the answer is there's not. But
somebody's going to find your body. It would be nice if you let them know that you tried and failed at every option. Like if you tried, that you thought of it, that you put thought into therapy, but that's not going to be the answer. You thought about medication, but you tried it, and you went through the steps. You tried everything. You got to because that sucks to find that. It does.
It does, but unfortunately, this is one of those things where you can sit there and postulate every possible off-ramp that could exist, and if a person is unwilling to take any of them, or has tried, or by their own mental faculties said they've tried and it didn't work, or that they just didn't want it. I mean, that's the real answer. They just didn't want it.
It's kind of selfish. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad kind of selfish. We all ultimately have to think about ourselves and how we feel in the world. And if there is no chance of joy in the future, I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm just saying that you haven't laid down and cuddled with me for a night. So if you're thinking about killing yourself, come and cuddle with me for a night, and maybe you'll see better days in the future.
And that was, if everybody's story is going to be different, and everybody's experience is going to be different.
Agreed.
But the biggest one is that people who really truly are at that point, they're not talking about their attempts. They're not saying a thing about it. They don't want to.
No, they've already been validated.
They don't want the attention.
Everything's already been validated. People suck. We suck. People suck. Whatever the reason is, it's already been answered. That's why suicide is the
everything hurt, and everything just felt so sad and so hopeless, and I couldn't get out of it. And at this point, I was the person who, I was the one that everybody was like, this kid's got it all going for him. One of the smartest kids in the school. one of the kids that literally is winning competitions left and right.
It's a lot to live up to. It's a lot to live up to in an area without a lot of opportunities.
And
that's a lot to live up to when there isn't a lot of chance for growth and inspiration. So
and for me, like the idea that anybody, I was always the jokester. Like, that's you see the meme a lot. Check in on your funny friends because sometimes they're hiding something.
Oh yeah,
for me that was
people that question and people that joke are the ones that don't want you to know them at all.
And that was my thing is that I was always cracking jokes. I was always the funny one. Like, but I was doing it to hide the fact that I had so many negative emotions going on, and I couldn't understand it because logically for me, as a kid, like I couldn't understand. It's like, why do I feel this way? I have all of these good things. But the knowledge that we had available to us at the time around mental health, everything indicated that I should be happy. I was going to church. I was involved in tons of organizations. I was involved in my communities. I was, I was winning competitions. I had friends everywhere.
So it was either talk therapy or medication for you. Either it was an unresolved issue or a chemical imbalance because everything else was great.
And that's the thing is that those were things that were never brought up to me. Like as a kid, it's hard.
Of course not.
That's something that's absolutely hard to understand is that there might not actually be anything like externally wrong with you. Like you have all of these great things, but there's something going on, that you either haven't dealt with from your past or, which case it changes your body chemistry. It really does.
And so stress over time totally does.
And
totally.
so you're somebody who just, your body, developed a certain way, and guess what? You drew the freaking Joker card.
Or you got more testosterone or more estrogen or more serotonin or less SSRI, like
there's all sorts of possibilities. And that's the thing is like,
that's what I'm saying. If you're considering suicide, if you were considering suicide and you came to me and I said, did you try medication or talk therapy? Because it's one of those two, maybe that would be like, I'll try that. You know what I mean? Or yes, I tried that. And then I would be left with, oh crap, come here and let me hold you until you die. You know what I mean? Like,
well, and that's
I had a friend come to me and that's all I could do was I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. I didn't judge. I didn't question. I just held her. You know what I mean? Public Access America.
It's always funny because like, especially because as libertarians, we get a ton of shit, even amongst other libertarians.
I think political philosophy is a lot like religion, and where there's moments you have to go on faith and trust what somebody else is saying.
The main focus is just like less dependence on the government because, well, we've seen how that's gone.
And you don't have to do that if you think about it in a human way.
More dependence on connections with each other.
You can always bring it back to what would one human do for another? What would 100 do for 100?
People looking out for people.
Find Public Access America anywhere you find your favorite podcast every Sunday and Thursday. And join the chat on YouTube at Public Access America every Sunday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific.
Communities looking out for community.
Public Access America. History in the making, making history in the making, in the making, in the making, in the making, in the making.
For me, like it's going to be 10 years ago this year that I lost one of my best friends, and I mean to tell you, for that first year afterwards, I just felt completely listless. Like there was a lot of survivor's guilt because I had tried, I had attempted, I had and I made it through. And this guy, was arguably somebody I would say who was a lot brighter and a lot funnier than I was, and he was absolutely a joy to be around. But but he made it very clear, he didn't want the doctors, the nurses, he didn't want the medications, he didn't want the therapies, he didn't want any of it. He just wanted it to be over. And I mean, we all tried. We really did. In a lot of different ways, we all tried. And that's the hardest part is that, that accepting that there was something that you just couldn't control no matter how hard you tried.
Right. For
And
the people, loved ones around, it's not about you. Like it couldn't be less about you, you know.
right.
You were the only thing that kept that person going as long as they did, you know.
hmm
Mm.
So, and unfortunately, like, his life had been defined by trauma as well, you know,
Oh yeah.
and so that's one of those things where it's like, how can a person how can a person really truly understand what's going on in somebody's head in that moment, except for those of us who've also been there. We understand it. And that's why I've always taken the time to talk about it, because I do believe that it's possible to get through. And I know that we're creatures that love instant gratification, but when it comes to the mental health journey, it's not. And hell, even all these years later, I'm coming up on 20 years since my last suicide attempt. And guess what? I just did an entire year's worth of therapy over the last year. And guess what? It wasn't because I was, suicidal. Did I have some stuff I needed to work on? Absolutely. I absolutely had some stuff that I needed to work on, and it's been great for me to work on those things. And people around me notice that I have put the work in on those things, and people around me appreciate that I have done that. And it's not just about the people around me. What I'm saying is people around me have noticed. I have noticed, and for me, I feel so much better. And it's going to be something that continues on, in the future. It's something that
Hope
I'm
so.
going to continue to, support, is doing therapy every so often. And especially when you find yourself in a rut, and especially when others find you in a rut, and and you guys have conversations about maybe there's something going on there that you need to really dig in and work through and work out. And it's mental health is hard work. It really is.
Well, it's a lifetime thing because your chemistry is always changing. You know,
Absolutely.
I've had various forms of anxiety and depression and autistic spectrum attitudes and personalities my whole life, but none of them were constant. Some of them come in and out. Some of my OCDs come in and out, So I, yeah, I think until we get, somebody said that mental health is half of physical health, mental health, right? Divide it in half. They're both equally as important. So I think, and until we have a Peloton for mental health, like a gym membership for mental health, and we treat mental health the way we treat our physical health, then we're always going to be battling it unless we're proactive.
I do love
If
the
we're
idea
seeing
of
the
like
sign of it,
like a gym for mental health.
yeah.
I love that idea actually.
I do too. I was thinking of it just like, well, if we can ride a bike, can't we just get somebody to yell at us, "Hey, be happier"?
What are you doing? You got to lift with your mind harder.
I would love it. Hey, ooh, no, we're so close to the end. I just want to keep going. We got 5 more minutes of this. Do you have anything you wanna add? I want my goal was to protect loved ones of people that were dealing with the thoughts and considerations of suicide. I wanted to show people signs of it. I wanted to get the conversation going. I think the idea is to start the conversation early with people you love. It's not to wait until the last minute and say, "Hey, I'm going in the other room to die now." I think it's to say, "Hey, guess what? I had a thought." You know what I mean?
Right.
And just to be open and honest with people. Because what I think we live fake lives, right? Everything's great. How you doing? Good. How you doing? Good. We never really tell anybody when it sucks, right? And so there's this drastic thing when it goes from, "Hey, everything's great," to, "Can I talk to you? Because I'm scared." It's like this drop off. Be honest with people so that they can, be with you, so they're not suddenly shocked that you're upset because you've been real with them the whole time. That's my thought. How about yours?
And it's so difficult, because there's so many different versions and so many different journeys, and even my experience is just based off of severe clinical depression. And when you realize you've got things like seasonal affective disorder, you've got things like trauma based, you've got things that are I forget what the correct term is now, because they
phobias
changed. I mean, I always grew up with it being called bipolar disorder. Manic depressive. There was manic depressive. There's a number of different terms that I've heard used for it over the years.
Bipolar's not derogatory. It's just a fact. It's a mood swing. Well, there's variations to it, though.
And I think what it is that they've more or less come to a better scientific name for it, and I just can't remember what it is.
That's fine. It's part of the ADHD and autism spectrum too. A lot of autistic people find themselves bipolar.
And that's the thing is understanding that you've got people around you who are most likely in similar places or have dealt with similar things. You've got an older generation who finally got to talk about mental health, and while it's still somewhat of a stigma, it's not nearly as bad as it used to be.
Right. But it is this gray area of people that don't know and people that know way too well. And it's that mixture of salt water and fresh water that's causing the issue. You know what I mean?
And that's and the thing is that as more people talk openly about mental health, realizing that you've got you're going to hear people out there that say you don't need mental health therapy, you need religion. Well, for some people, religion is a part of that mental health therapy. Now,
agreed.
It's not for me. In fact, I think,
but it gives you structure in your life. It gives you a bigger thought than just yourself.
And to me, it's the idea of wherever you find peace. Whether you decide that it's Islam or it's Christianity or it's Judaism or maybe it's Hinduism or Buddhism, whatever.
Just the knowledge of them all. Just the knowledge.
Whatever brings you, or maybe it's nothing at all. Like me.
Spirituality. The wind, the earth, the fire. The water.
Having, taking deep breaths and being able to think about where you're at and ground yourself. There's so many different ways that you can find peace in life, and as part of that mental health strategy, it's about figuring that out. For me, music was one of the biggest things that I used for a long time in order to bring myself peace, and I still love it, and it's still one of those things that I do use. Now, you just have to, each person has to decide how much work they're willing to put in and who they're willing to involve in order to help them get that work done. And I do believe that each and every person could get there. I won't say could get there.
We need everyone. It's just where we need them. And so if you're feeling like you have no purpose on this planet, it's because you haven't been put in a position to discover the value of the purpose that you have. Find yourself in service. If you're going to kill yourself, maybe spend a week at a soup kitchen and offer others service, because you're a useful body. You know what I mean?
Sign up for the Peace Corps and put yourself on the other side of the planet and go help some people. If maybe that's something that'll help. It's a great opportunity to explore what helps you heal.
Reach that fuck it moment. Fuck it, right?
Yeah, for me, it's like deuces every day. We're gonna go for it.
Yeah,
we're gonna go for it, and the goal is love. Love everybody and give everybody a shot at finding peace.
Yeah, but everybody does have a reason to be here, So I was Hey, everybody. Thank you for listening to Public Access America. You can find us anywhere you find your favorite podcasts. That's what we do. You can find our live stream on YouTube every Sunday. And you can find some great stuff on our social media, like on Twitter at Public Access Pod, Instagram, and YouTube at Public Access America. I had this thought, Jeffrey White. Thank you for listening.
To those who would tear the world down, we will defeat you. This is our moment. This is our time. To those who seek peace and security, we support you. Yes, we can. And to all those who have wondered if America's beacon still burns as bright, tonight we proved once more that the true strength of our nation comes not from the might of our arms or the scale of our wealth, but from the
place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life.
Ask not.
Yes, we can.
What your country can do for you. I have a dream. Ask what you can do for your country. My poor little children.
Yes, we can.
One day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression.
In this lifetime, you don't have to prove nothing to nobody except yourself.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
Welcome to Public Access America.
Yes, we can.
Sunday live streams on YouTube.
I wanted to run out of that tunnel for my dad.
On Twitter.
What?
Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Smart Radio Public, and Spotify.
Yes, we can.
Public Access America. History in the making. Making history in the making.
You coming to bed, hon?
Yep, honey, I'll be right there. Just gotta turn out the light. Ow! 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 Ah! Go!
Some things never change. Like your kids always leaving tiny toys on the floor for you to step on. And Geico saving folks lots of money on their car insurance.
Sweetie, I think I left the downstairs light on.
Please don't make me go.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
At Wendy's, March is madness. With our breakfast Baconator. Sausage, egg, and Swiss croissant. Both made with fresh cracked eggs or even a honey butter chicken biscuit. And we're just getting warmed up. Get 50% off the official breakfast of March Madness when you order through the Wendy's app. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's.
For a limited time at participating Wendy's via app offer only. Account registration required. No discount applies to taxes or fees. Not valid with any other offer.